So let's take a look at the finished elevation now that I've added certain extra elements. You can see that the planter here, the bench and the planter here have been added along with some planting. We must remember, of course, that with this all being to scale, that we can add measurements on the vertical plane, which can clarify things for contractors and clients alike. Let's just revise the complete process. So you can see that the garden aligns precisely with the plan that is sitting beneath it. So the shed lines up with the position of the shed, the house lines up with the back of the house here. The other elements are then all allocated to separate layers. And so if we look through these layers here, going from the back, you can see that the fence layer can go in first, and we now have a fence crossing the garden. And so the beauty of this, again, working in layers, working digitally, means that you can actually use this elevation drawing for generating numerous different drawings. Here is a technical drawing of just the fence. But of course we can build on that through the layering and add the layers as we go, which can also help us as designers understand how this garden is structured. So adding to that, we've got the raised bed and bench. Those of course sit in a separate layer just in front of the fence, and incidentally the bench here came from a stencil because I've put benches like this in other gardens and kept that as a stencil and just had to adjust it slightly to fit into this space here. There's a planter which goes in here. All the time we must think about how these layers, the stacking of the layers, the order of the layers corresponds to the position of these objects when you're looking at them from this side of the garden. So the next things to go in will be the pergola, which of course sits to the front of this bench and of this planter. The dining table, which sits underneath the pergola like that. The arches here. All of these are controllable, so at any point you could generate images like this for contractors or clients alike as the garden builds up. And the water feature, which sits here just in front of that post. I then added trees, and so there's a tree right at the back here, which you can see I used a faint grey for because that's at the back of the point of view here, looking this way, and so it's quite faint, and so it recedes into the background, giving the elevation a more three-dimensional quality. We've also got another tree here using a similar colour. But then the tree right in the foreground, this one, I've kept as a strong black, so it stands out clearly in the front of the image, again giving a clear impression that that is closest to the point of view when looking at the garden in this direction. And I've then just added some planting just to soften the image for the sake of client presentation.